Hey everyone, it's Mopar Keith. Today we have the opportunity to drive a very rare 1970 Plymouth Cuda AAR. And if you've ever wanted to know what it's like to be inside one of these cars, let's go for a ride. All right, so we just got, we splashed about 5 gallons of gas in it here. And let's go for a quick drive. We're going to go down to the park and we're going to do a little driving around. So this is, like I mentioned, this is a 70 AAR Cuda, and this is a 1 year only car. And what I mean by 1 year only is in 1970, this is a very short production run of Trans Am cars. And when I say Trans Am car, I mean Trans Am, as in Challenger TA and Cuda AARs. So this car was built by Chrysler for homologation rules for the Trans Am racing series. And once again, a very short run. These cars were only built for about 2 months. And this particular car, its scheduled production date was April 15th, 1970. And so all these cars just ran in like a really tight window. It was just a quick run of cars, and that's all they made. So this particular one, all these cars are rare because there's only a couple thousand of each Dodge and Plymouth made. But this one's a little more rare because it was born black with a white interior. And there are about 40 known black AARs builds, and this one is about one of 13 with the white interior. This particular car is a bucket seat floor shift car, and just your basic Mopar slapstick wood grain, and standard gauges. Also, this car was not born with a rally gauge package, so just real simple. It does have the power steering, and all Trans Am cars were born with power disc brakes. So we'll get up here and we'll do a little walk around to the car and just show you what this is all about. So all AAR Cudas are born with road lamps, and the deal with road lamps is that you can run them with a separate switch, but when you hit the bright lights, they're supposed to turn off. All right, so one unique feature about all Trans Am cars, Dodge and Plymouth, is that they're all born with a special kind of paint called Organosol. And this is a textured flat black paint that went on the hood of the cars, and that was kind of a racer thing to prevent glare to the race car drivers. We're going to park over here and do a little walk around. All right, well, it is a little rainy today, but otherwise a pretty good day to get out and do a little video of this car. Now this car, we did restore this at Noel Automotive in West Branch, Iowa, and the owner has had this thing for quite a few years, and the restoration is fairly fresh. A couple unique things under the hood is obviously this giant air cleaner base, and one thing about all fresh air hoods, and this also includes A12s, which is the six-pack lift-off hood cars. This particular piece right here on the air cleaner lid, I want to call it the umbrella, because all of these fresh air hoods, there is nothing to protect the rain from going in there. And a lot of oval air cleaners do exist, but only the fresh air hood air cleaners have this little extra umbrella right here. And then the other thing that's unique about the box, the air filter box or base, is that it has what they call water drains. So if you were to drive this in heavy rain, water would essentially splash off of here and then go into this hole right here. And then there's 3 of them on this particular car. Another unique thing about this, and let's see if we can get a view of it, is these have unique offset rocker arms. And I don't know if you can see inside there or not, but they're not the stamped steel rocker arms of regular 340s. So that's a unique thing. All TA engines are also made with 6 barrels or 6-pack, and that's a 3 carburetor system. So all heads are very special. This one sports the U heads, and there are several different versions of that, like X heads and J heads and so on. So all Trans Am cars, like I said, were born with the power disc brakes, and you could get different options as far as the steering. You could get power steering in a regular standard ratio, quick ratio, or manual steering. All track pack cars had the power steering cooler. Not track pack cars, but high performance rear differential gears, and they also came with this idle stop solenoid. And there's a picture of the fender tag. Here's a couple things on the outside of the car. One of the very few cars, if the only cars, that were born with offset tire sizes. So on the front they were E6015s, and on the back they were a G6015. These cars were also built with higher lift leaf springs, and if you kind of come back to the side here also, you can tell how these cars have more of a rake than if it were like a standard Barracuda or Challenger car. The rear leaf springs actually stand up a little bit higher, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was for clearance for this side exhaust right here. And then this is an NOS tip. You can see the baffle on the inside. Now Gardner and some other ECS, I do believe they make the right reproduction exhaust tips, but these are actually some old NOS tips. The strobe stripe, very unique to Cuda AARs. All Trans Am cars were also born with a spoiler. So, and this was a plastic item, and Challenger TAs and AARs had the spoiler. Now this car, it also sports an NOS stripe, and NOS stands for new old stock. The stripe on this car is a new old stock, and one way that you can tell is they're textured. So, and this is to replicate the Organosol hood treatment. And on Plymouth, the Organosol actually stretches from the very back of the quarter window on the quarter panel across the top of the door and the top of the fenders. And on a Challenger, it's only the hood. But on the Plymouth version, they do the entire front end. Also, that Organosol is on the grill. So it's a little hard to tell because we got rain coming on. But so those are some unique features on this car. And let's get back to the shop before it rains too much here. All right, like I said, this car was a white interior, built black with white interior. Super unique. Like I said, it's one of 13 known black cars with white interiors. So it kind of makes this car just a little bit more special than the rest. So we'll head back to the shop here, and you could get 3-speed wipers. And I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe someone can chime in. So this one has standard gauges with 2-speed wipers. And it's been argued that rally gauge cars came with 3-speed wipers. But as far as I know, they're 2 separate packages. So you have a rally gauge cluster, I believe it was A62, and N85 was a tachometer, and then 3-speed wiper, I'm going to get called out on this, it's J45, I believe, is 3-speed wipers. I always get it mixed up with hood pins. So we got J25 and J45 hood pins, or 3-speed wipers. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. Let's see. So yeah, the wipers work good on this. 2-speed wipers. So yeah, we restored this car 5 or so years ago, and we've had it at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals for the first judging, and then we also had it back to the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals for the black and white formal, hosted by Dan Pausch came up with the idea of having 10 black Mopars with white interiors, so he called it the black and white formal. So we had it at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals twice. This year we've had this thing everywhere. We actually went to Carlisle for the special Trans Am display, and we had it in one of the buildings, and then we took it down to the Music City Mopar show. And we've also had it to Belvedere a couple times, and then we've also had it to the Dubuque Mopar show. Now, Chris and I did the paint job on this, and it was kind of a multi-year restoration. And the owner, Greg, he's been collecting parts for like literally decades. And we took it down to bare metal. It had some rust. We did all the sheet metal, all the body work. And Chris and I applied the PPG TX9 base coat with clear coat, and then we wet sanded and blocked on this thing for days. And with the black car, we wanted to make sure that it was extra straight. So we did a lot of work on this to get it right. And then the owner, Greg, also has collected lots of NOS parts over the years. And just everything. This is what they would call a concours restoration. All right, we'll get it pulled into the paint room here. All right, so we're back in the paint shop here, and we got it toweled off. And I want to talk about the hood a little bit here. Like it's mentioned before, all Trans Am cars were born with a fiberglass hood, and they're all hinged with special springs. And the Plymouth hood has small springs because out of the 2 cars, the Plymouth hood is the smallest or lightest weight hood. And this is the smallest hood spring that is made. The Dodge Challenger hood spring is just slightly bigger. I believe it has like 2 or 4 more rings on the spring, and they're slightly larger. And because the Challenger hood is just a little bit heavier. All hoods have hood pins, and they also have this special washer that goes underneath the hood pin, not a star washer or a tooth washer. It's just a black phosphate black washer. None of the hoods have latches. There is no latch mechanism on here whatsoever. And so all hoods are pinned. And this is a liberty that, as a restoration shop, we took upon ourselves. It's been well documented that Trans Am cars, the hood pins go sideways. So sideways like that. We think that it functions and looks better with the hood pin like that. And all the stanchions are riveted in, just like A12 cars. They are riveted in because you cannot put a screw into fiberglass. Like a steel hood, you would see Phillips screws. Now, here's something about these fiberglass hoods, is they all have a bow. And this is indicative of the fiberglass in combination with the hood spring. So if you can imagine, when this hood is down, the spring is really stretched. You can see how far that hood spring is stretched. Okay? And what is happening is that that spring is trying to push the hood up. And you have the hood pins holding the hood down. So it's what you have is you have the hood springs prying on the hood this way and the hood pins holding it down this way. So it is normal for all Trans Am cars to have a bow. And this one is really minor. And in fact, we've taken corrective measures to straighten the hood. But, and you will even see some car owners will remove the springs and they'll just go with a hood prop rod. In this scenario, we choose to store the car with a prop rod from right here and pushing up. And so it kind of gives the hood kind of a negative effect, and it pushes the hood up, and then we'll put the car cover over that. We have talked about removing the springs, but it's also kind of dangerous because when you remove the spring, you scratch the paint. But yeah, you might see some guys with a locking device that holds the hood up or no spring at all. So yeah, it is normal to see Trans Am cars with the bow and the hood. Another unique feature is the hood windshield washer squirter. So these are an original, and they have started reproducing them, and I believe I've seen Megaparts or maybe Roseville selling these, but this is Trans Am car only, and this is the way they face. They face this way because there's a hole right here that squirts backwards towards the windshield. So, but that is the correct way for those washer squirters to face. And while we're talking about washer squirters, this one is born with a manual foot pump, and we'll go inside and show you that. So here's the washer tank reservoir, but it has a manual foot pump, and this is just another inexpensive way to save money. So, and you would find this on other cars too. There's Darts and Challengers and other cars that will have that manual foot pump. Here's a door sticker. This is the original style of door sticker, obviously a reproduction. But everything on this car has been plated, redone, the correct plating on everything. Really nice OE restoration. All right, so we were talking about the bow on the hood and the windshield squirters and the way the hood pins are and the rivets in the scuff plate here. And I saw this. The reason I'm going to mention this is I've seen this a couple times, and I about blew a gasket when I saw a guy at the one of the Mecum auctions. He was digging his fingers into this edge right here, trying to open the hood. Okay, so like first of all, you don't want to dig your fingernails at anybody's paint job. And then I've seen other people open the hood by here, and just this little bit of pressure, you can see how that flexes it. So in my opinion, the only way to actually open these AAR hoods is right here, right there. So it is extra reinforced right here. There's actually 2 layers of reinforcement, and that's the way you want to lift this hood up. And then the way I put the hood down is put my fingers in the hood pin hole here and push it down and not touching the paint, and just push it down right here. And that's how I'll shut the hood on any car with hood pins, is you push on the scuff plate and don't push on the actual paint of the car. So I think that's really key to know about these cars is how to open and shut the hood without doing any damage, getting your greasy fingers all over everything. So that's my opinion on the hoods. Another unique feature of these cars, and this isn't so much just AARs or Trans Am cars, but E-bodies were born with such a small trunk. It comes with what they call a collapsible spare. And this air tank right here has compressed air, and it was designed to fill these up. Okay, so this car, I had mentioned it was born on April 15th, 1970. It was sold at Northside Motors in Miami, Florida. And we also have the ownership history. Bought new by Andrew Harris. The car was daily driven, and then it was quarter mile drag raced. Michael Boggs owned it for a little while and raced it. And then it went to a Jody in Missouri, and then a James in Maine, and now it since 1994 has belonged to Greg Winter. This is the fast ratio power steering on it. It has the console floor shift. Now it does have the 391 sure grip rear end differential, AM radio only, tinted glass. I mentioned it before, it's one of 13 with a white interior, and that's what makes this car uniquely rare. It was also one of four cars that were consecutively numbered VINs that had the exact same options. And so in closing, restored at Noel Automotive, and not sure what the future is of this car, but we're going to keep showing it, and for the most part it really doesn't get driven, but I think it deserves to be pampered and maybe even in a museum. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and comment. All right, so there was one other important fact about Trans Am cars that I just about failed to mention. The antenna is in the rear, and all Trans Am cars, like I had mentioned, are born with fiberglass hoods, and there's something about the radio frequency, radio noise or whatever, and the Chrysler engineers had decided to avoid any frequency interruption. They moved the antenna to the rear. So basically it's just the same old antenna, and they just have an antenna wire going, just an extra length of antenna wire going from the radio, runs up the right side of the car and just plugs into the same old antenna that all the other antennas have. So one more interesting fact about Trans Am cars that you might not know.